endeavoring to encourage quality care, medical research, innovation, and education on a local, national, and international basis. This program is
brought. It's my pleasure to have with us two very nice young men that are guests in our fair city of Macon, Georgia, Nikolai and Andrew. And these young men are neurosurgical residents at the Boldyrev Institute in Moscow. So that's quite a trip, isn't it, gentlemen? Coming here from Moscow, how long did it take you to get to Macon, Georgia?
Oh, it took about 12 hours on plane, yeah, and it was tough.
Are you? Yes.
Yeah.
And it was quite a trip, wasn't it?
Yes.
And how have you found the weather here? Is it warm enough for you in Macon right now? Is it?
Big difference between Moscow weather and weather in Macon. So it's really hot, like in July in Russia.
Yes. Well, it's pretty hot here now, isn't it? And your winters are pretty rough, are they? It's pretty cold there.
Yes, it's about negative 20.
Wow.
30, yeah, it's pretty tough.
And so you have a big coat you wear and earmuffs when you do this.
Of course.
Wow.
Most of the time.
A lot of snow.
Wow, it's a cold place. Well, how did you guys get interested in neurosurgery? You're neurosurgery residents, and you're here really at the Institute. We're having an interchange, and so we're delighted to have you as our guest and sort of see how things work here for the neurosurgery world. But how did you get interested in neurosurgery? What's the process by which you become a neurosurgeon in Russia?
Yeah, we started from the school together. We're both from the schoolmen, and we decided to pick some really difficult specialization like neurosurgery. And from 9th grade at high school, we decided to be neurosurgeons.
In the 9th grade, wow.
Yes, 9th grades. And then we went to medical school.
Yes.
We finished it and we came to Rudenko.
Yes, which the Boldyrev is a really famous place. It's a tremendous. That's the number one neurosurgical institute in Russia, and indeed in the former Soviet Union. It was the number one place. And when you took the courses to become a resident, what sort of courses did you take? What were you taking in high school, and what did you take in medical school? What kind of courses? You had a lot of English, did you not?
Yeah, exactly. We
from our childhood, we're speaking English.
Really?
From kindergarten, we started.
From kindergarten.
Yeah.
Now, is that a common situation in Russia, or many people try and learn English?
Of course. Yes.
And when you go to so you've had many years of English, is that correct?
Yes. All our lives we learn English, so.
Okay, we'll travel all over the world and practice more and more and more.
To read some scientific books.
Also, yes.
Yeah, also
to make publications in English.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's important is a lot of the neurosurgical publications are in English, and just being able to do that.
We should know.
Yes. Now, in order so what kind of test did you take to get in the university? You presumably had very good training at high school.
Yeah.
And there's a big national examination, or what? Tell me about that. What happens when you have a
it's a big national examination. You get scores, and on the scores you can choose any university in the country.
For any subject?
Any subjects, like medical school, lawyer school, anyone.
Well, our primary subjects were Russian language, math,
biology,
also chemistry and biology. That's the primary objects.
And so, where did you go in your mathematics? Were you in, advanced calculus, or where did you go? What subjects? Analytical geometry, or you were taking a lot of very difficult math?
In Russia, it's called algebra.
Algebra. Okay, you took algebra and.
Yeah, it's 11 grades in school in Russia.
Only 11.
Yeah.
This program is brought to you by the Georgia Neurosurgical Institute for over 50 years.
Yeah, biology, all this stuff. It's pretty harder than in USA, I think.
How much would you study at night when you were in high school? Would you study at night, or was that common? Or
of course.
You were studying hard at night?
Sometimes, especially when.
Sometimes.
Not often.
Not often.
I think a lot of young people in America might not study that much. I mean, that's just my suspicion. Some do, but that might be my suspicion. So this is a real tough examination you face. How long did the examination last for the university?
For about 3 hours, I think.
3
The whole
hours?
big exam.
And everyone was very nervous?
Of course.
Did you celebrate after the examination?
It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody had a big party afterwards, and
For us,
Yes.
it was a big happiness to pass this really nervous exam.
and the medical school that you attended. Just tell me, that was in Moscow, or I'm not sure how exactly that works. How did you?
Yeah, we have three big university in Moscow.
Main universities.
Medical
Yes.
universities. So
What are the three major ones in Moscow?
it's Radchenkov,
Yes.
First
one,
one.
Pirogov, it's the second one, and third one is
The medical
The
stomatology and
stomatology,
Yes.
dentistry
Now,
institute.
is that I've heard of Moscow University? Is that sort of part of it, or is that a separate issue? Or
Yeah, separate.
separate.
it's separate.
Mhm.
All right. So very competitive. And did you go to the same medical school?
No,
You went to different medical
I
schools.
was in the first, he was in the second.
Okay. And
So
how many people in your class when you were in medical school?
Group divides in 4 groups,
Yes.
and one group includes about 20 people,
So there were about 80
about 80. Yeah.
in your class.
in my class, it was 11 people.
More.
No, 11 people in my
11?
group only.
11?
Mhm.
Okay. So you had pretty small classes. And how long did medical school last? How many years was
6
that?
years.
For 6 years. Yep,
And did you?
exactly.
What courses did you take? Did you? The American system would be generally 4 years in college, more general subjects, and then 4 years in medical school. But I know many countries, and particularly the European ones, you have a 6-year arrangement. Did you take all science courses? Did you take literature, or what did you take in medical school? Do you have any?
We have no, I think, courses. It just goes.
Maybe as
like schedule.
additional courses
Yeah,
sometimes.
I mean,
Additional
Did
courses.
you take art or anything funny like that, or everything was on medicine?
I took some operating courses, like anatomy courses.
Yes.
Like this. Yeah.
Did you have some?
General surgery also.
You took.
General
You took
surgery.
that, and you both wanted to do neurosurgery though.
Yeah.
From the very first.
Yeah.
And how were you graded when you were in medical school? Did you have I don't know, a lot of tests, or?
course. Our big test also at our last year in the university,
And
in
that-
the medical school.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Passing it, yes. That's named like a government test, big whole
Government
test
test,
for
yeah.
That
all.
was given all over Russia.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
same test, pretty much.
No, it's not the
It's-
same.
It's a little different in different places.
Yes,
yeah,
a little
it's,
difference between medical.
Depends on university.
And then,
Exactly.
so when you graduated, they said, well, you had the top grades or you had the bottom
Yeah.
grades. Is that?
Yeah.
And so you guys did
Sure.
pretty well, I take it. Is that correct? You had
Yeah,
some
I-
good grades?
Yes.
You guys did
Good.
well, good.
Yeah.
So you were been devoted to becoming a neurosurgeon. You've been at really top place in Moscow. And that's a big deal, isn't it, the way the system works? So if you're in Moscow or St. Petersburg, generally the academic environment is very high compared with other places. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in a smaller town, maybe the academic arrangements aren't as much. Am I right on that? I mean,
I think yeah.
Sure.
okay. Well, so you're right at the top of the heap, and then you elected to do neurosurgery. What happened next? When you finish your exams, how much time do you have before you start your residency?
I think about 1 month.
Yeah.
1 month.
Wow.
So you
Just
have
to
a nice
get a
have
rest.
vacation. Everybody's happy. Go
Yes.
you're all right. Happy.
A lot of celebrations
Yeah,
also.
Everybody has a big party. Everybody's happy. And then, how did you get your position as neurosurgeons? Did you take another test? Did
Another
you have some
test.
interviews?
Also,
Another
exams.
test.
Special
Yes,
test for
special.
residency.
For Boldyrev,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
And did you apply to many places to do neurosurgery, or just one place, or how did that work?
Just one.
Just one
Just one.
place. First of all, we should speak with our chairmen, our heads of departments, because we have a lot of departments in Burdenka. So that's the first step. We should speak with the chairman, and after that, if he agrees, and he wants to have a such residents as I am, or maybe my friend.
Yes, right.
So that's why after that we'll pass
Go to
these
exams,
tests.
yeah.
Yes, so he would then say you can take the test.
Only after this approval.
He might not let you take the test if he thinks, well, this
Yeah.
just won't
Yeah,
work. So it's
of course.
Okay. So you only applied to one place, right? Just one place, and you took the. What was the examination like to become a neurosurgeon?
Three
It
parts.
includes 3 steps. Like first step,
3 parts.
it's a big test.
Yes.
Includes all kind of
All
medicine,
medicine.
about
Right.
all medicine, chemistry, biology.
Really, sort of basic
anatomy.
question, basic
Yeah,
Yes,
lots of
basic
questions.
DNA, something like that.
Yes,
yes,
yes.
right, yes.
And
So about
next-
100 questions, and we have
Yeah.
about 2 hours to pass it.
Now, were the questions like, many times our tests are multiple choice. Did you have multiple choice, or did you write answers?
Sometimes.
they-
Sometimes.
But sometimes you might write a little story about it. You might write a little essay or answer it with a sentence or two for your
Yeah,
exam.
yeah,
Yes, okay.
yeah.
What you really think.
Yeah.
And that's pretty hectic, right?
Yeah, and the next 2 steps about English language. Yeah, we should read it, some subject, yeah.
Text,
and
and also text in some publications,
Yeah.
so we can check our medical English.
Yes.
Okay.
So you read do you read the American neurosurgery journals or European
Yeah.
journals? So you're reading that, and
Of course.
you had to take English as part of this
Of course.
examination.
Yeah.
Especially medical English.
Yes.
Some big difference between English and
Well, I
medical
understand.
English.
Yes.
So it's
So
more
then
difficult.
it's a pretty rigorous arrangement. And then you had another interview, is that right? When you
Yeah.
were with everyone,
Yes.
Yes.
and
After
they ask you neurosurgical questions.
Yes.
Or?
Exactly.
Anatomy questions.
The anatomy
mostly.
Not in
questions.
neurosurgery.
Neurology questions.
Any question.
Was it pretty stressful?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was.
Very
The most
stressful, very
stressful.
stressful.
The most.
So you went through this incredible process, and then they how did you find out you had a position? Did they send you a letter? Did you get a phone call? Or
I think by email.
Yeah,
you
by
got-
email.
They said, well, all right.
We waited about 10 days, and then we had the results on our emails.
Yes,
So we had a special.
and then you had another party, right?
Yeah.
So you had the good
A lot
news.
of
The good
parties.
news is you got the position. The bad news is you have to do it. And that's a little joke. In other words, it's going to be so hard. It's a hard thing to do. So, how far are you guys along in your neurosurgery residency? How many years have you done?
So that's
4 years.
beginning of
Yes,
our
beginning
fourth
is 4th.
year.
You're in your 4th year, so you've really had a lot of experience.
Yes.
And what would a day be like as a neurosurgery resident there? You have to commute by Moscow is a big town, isn't it?
Yeah.
There are 14 million people in it.
14 million.
I got it right this time. I earlier said 12, but it's 14 million.
14.
14 million people. It's a big city, a huge city, and you live on the outskirts, or you're a long way from the Berdinko. Pretty far. You have to come by a subway.
Yeah. On subway it's about 40
That's-
minutes.
40.
Exactly.
40 minutes
It's a
every
pretty
day.
long trip. So
That's
you
a very
one
time.
way.
so you get up pretty early in the morning,
Yeah.
and it's cold. Real
6
cold?
a.m.
It's real cold, right?
It's real cold, especially in the morning.
It's
Yeah.
like very, very cold, and you have mittens, and you're
Of
just
course.
and
And
you
it's
wait.
very dark.
It's dark too. That's a little depressing, isn't it? When it's dark all the time, and it's and you're going into work very hard.
Yeah.
And 40 minutes in, and when would the day start for you when you arrive there? When would that be?
I think at
It's around with our chairman.
Is it like
the,
7 or 8
the
o'clock?
average time is 8 o'clock. I
8
think.
o'clock.
8 o'clock. And would you see patients or
See
go
patients.
to surgery or what?
Yeah.
Or what?
Sometimes like it's round. So.
Rounds,
You
yeah.
have rounds?
Mhm.
Then all chairmen, all residents, and all doctors, they go in one room
Yes.
and they speak about our plan for today.
Yes.
All operations for today.
Operating
Every
plan.
department, yeah,
Now the
So
Radchenkov
we
is yes.
we see all cases.
all
In
cases.
You
this-
see everything, all kinds of cases, and it's an extraordinary place, really. I mean, for the listeners out there in TV land, I mean, this is a really extraordinary place. They've just a tremendous collection of difficult cases.
Yeah.
So the hardest cases in Russia and also other countries come there. They're referred in, and you have tremendously difficult cases of all types.
Yeah.
And,
Big experience.
let's see, with pituitary cases, how many pituitary cases do you think you do it there?
We have a special department.
Special
Yeah,
department.
how many you do? Just huge numbers?
5 per day.
5 or
Five a
6
day.
operations in one day.
Wow, wow.
Yes.
How about,
There's
yes,
endoscopic
It's very
transnasal
fast.
approach.
very fast.
how about something a little more occult like spinal cord tumors? How many would you routinely do there? I mean,
2, maximum 3
2, 3.
a day?
a day.
Wow, wow. And so, and how many beds do you have in your hospital? How many room for how many people?
I think about
One
300.
department include
300
about 20.
We have 300 beds in the
300
hospital.
beds,
Yes. And now, if after the
whole-
patient has the operation, how long would they stay in the hospital?
It depends on the
So it
case, I
depends on
think.
the case, yeah.
But the average time is 7 or 10
7, yeah.
days.
7 or
7
10?
10 days.
And then they might go back to a long distance away. They
Yeah.
are
Of
maybe
course.
1,000 kilometers away or
Of course.
2,000. And then their local doctors look after
Yeah.
them.
Exactly.
Wow, wow.
That's
Now
our
tell me a
system.
little bit about the Burdinko. It was named after a famous Russian neurosurgeon. Who was Dr. Burdinko, and how did the name occur? How did you get the name of the institute?
So his full name is Nikolai Nilovich Burdenko.
Yes.
He was a general surgeon at First
Red
World
Army.
World War.
And he was in the Red Army too, right?
Yeah.
After,
Exactly.
and he
Yeah.
had a Russian Civil
He
War
was-
afterwards.
He
yes.
was like a general in army,
Mm-hmm.
big position.
Yes.
in army. And he's the first surgeon who separate general surgery and neurosurgery.
Yes.
Yeah, and make a lot of for army.
For the Army.
For
So,
Army,
and
yes.
he did a lot in World War II, did he not? I
Mhm.
mean, so when was the Burdinko founded? When did they actually start the hospital? Was it before World War II or after World War II?
It's about 100 years.
Oh, it's a very old.
Very old.
It was,
Yeah.
yes, it was founded before
And
by Burdenko and Kramer, the
Kramer,
founder
right,
also.
right.
He was a neurologist, and they both founded this institute.
And so what happened in the Soviet system, and indeed maybe it carries over to the Russian, all the hard cases go to one big center, and that's the way the healthcare system works there. All
Yeah,
they come to one place. Now, I don't know if you guys are experts on the Russian healthcare system, but how does that work? I mean, do you have insurance? Do people have insurance there? Do they? I don't think they have much of what we call private practice
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
here.
Exactly.
We don't have it.
Neurosurgery in Russia don't have private practice.
It's really
So
rare situation.
every operation is free for patient.
Yes.
And I don't know, insurance. What about insurance?
But
We
government.
have insurance, but it's only the name.
Only the
Uh,
name?
Yeah,
What-
no money in insurance, so it's just. I
You don't
think
have
it's
to
name.
pay money to get the
No,
insurance.
no.
And then people come in now. One of the things we have in America is we have a lot of issues with malpractice. It's unusual to have a malpractice arrangement in Russia. Is that true? I mean, where someone sues the doctor. It
Yeah.
happens occasionally, but it's
Yes,
unusual. Is that
Yeah,
right?
it's unusual there, but it's happening.
But it happens.
Occasionally it happens. Yes, and that might
course.
be a
Of
new
course.
thing. Now you guys are here for a whole month. How does the vacation situation work in Russia? I mean, many people in Europe might take the month of August off. Is that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so? Everyone
the
is
same.
gone from the Burdinko right now. It's bad to be sick.
I think most of in September, I think. So we're here for a little vacation.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes, and we'll back in September. I believe it will be a hot month for us because we have a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because all other doctors will have a vacation.
Oh, so
not
now
us.
it's time. You'll have to work harder.
Yes, that's a change.
Now, would you would you do an operation yourself? The professors watching, or you help, or how does that work? You're getting to be a more senior guy there, so they're going to let you do more.
Yes.
Sometimes,
Sometimes.
It depends on residents.
yeah, neurosurgeon
If
also.
if he good, so
Yes.
professor can give
Allow.
him some small operation
Yes,
and then provide some difficult
yes.
operation. So depends on you.
And how long is your residency? How many years do you have as a neurosurgery resident?
Five
5
years.
5 years. And is that the same everywhere in Russia, or just in a specialty.
Just in Burdenko. Yeah.
So some places it might just be 2 years.
Yeah,
yes.
That's a new system in Russia, because I think about 2 years ago we had a 2 years system of education
Yes.
as a neurosurgeons.
Right. That's not a very long time.
Yeah,
is it?
so
No.
we're one of the first residents who have
Yes.
this system.
Now, one of the things that happens in America, I'm an old type guy here. So when I did my neurosurgery residency, I worked, 120 hours a week. Well, that's the way it was. You just stayed in the hospital. And now there's a limit of 80 hours. You can't work more than 80 hours a week as a neurosurgery resident legally. I say legally. But how much, do you have any limits on the amount of time you could
No
work?
limit.
There's
We
no
don't
limits.
have.
No limits.
Sometimes
I
we
work
sleep
hard,
on the
yeah.
work.
Yeah,
Like,
there's no limit to.
It depends on maybe cases. Sometimes we have 3 operations in one day, so we're sleeping at our work. That's why. And also we have on-call days, but
Yes.
it's about 1 or 2 in a month.
Well, when you're on call, you just cover the patients in the hospital.
Yeah.
They have
The whole
patients.
hospital.
the whole hospital.
Yeah.
Yes. And do you have patients coming from the emergency room? You don't get much trauma. That goes somewhere. If you have head injury in Moscow, does it go to another place?
Yes. In our institute, it's called
Sklifosovsky.
Sklifosovsky Institute.
And you
All trauma goes there.
Emergency cases.
Emergency.
now, would you go there to have any experience, or not too much?
Sometimes.
They
Sometimes.
don't
Sometimes.
they rotate through, right?
Yeah.
So
Sometimes.
here, we have a lot. We have all comers. We have a fair amount of trauma.
Yeah, we saw.
The helicopters fly people in.
So
I'm sure that the Trauma Institute is the same way in Moscow. It's the same. It's the same way. Well, that's a pretty interesting story. And do you plan to stay at the Burdenko? Would you like to stay there? Is that your ambition to continue to be there? Or do you?
I think we will see in a couple of years.
But you'd like to
we'll
stay
like,
there.
you will like it because it's
First
a
off.
good experience. You can
Yes.
get
A lot of complex cases.
yeah,
You get a
exactly.
lot.
But we can work like another place.
You could go somewhere else.
Yeah, better
Is-
place.
Now,
We'll
would the government assign you to places? Do they say we need a neurosurgeon in, I don't know, where's I don't know, an outlying place, Archangel, we need someone there, or up in the north, or maybe in Siberia? They say we need a neurosurgeon, and
I think we have enough of
they don't
neurosurgeons.
send
We
you. You
don't-
wouldn't be sent there. They wouldn't say, well, here, guess what? We're sending to a very cold place. You could say no, or does the government say you have to do this?
No.
No, they don't say
There are
you
no our own choice.
Yeah.
But we have many new institutes that are building now in different cities in Russia. So maybe we'll see later.
So sometimes what happens, if there's a new institute, they may go to the Burdenko and they say, do you have a real smart young guy who would like to run the institute?
Of course.
Yes.
Maybe.
Now, how important is it to write papers there, to do research? Are you guys, tell me, are you doing any research now, or
Of course.
what are your research interests? What are you interested in looking into?
My research based on tumors. It's called vestibular schwannoma.
Yes.
We compare with American institutes
Yes.
prone position and sitting position.
Yes.
So we just getting data.
Do you do sitting? You have all those pulmonary
Yeah,
implant,
but
right?
last time we mostly do prone position
Yes.
because it's safer. And
I think
safe.
that's a big argument, isn't it? So you're looking at the statistics.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good. Do you have much? One thing I've noticed in American situations is maybe the residents getting exposure to statistics. So if you're doing this research, would you have someone help you with the statistics? You're going to put the chi-squared, whatever you're going to. Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a special floor for statistic guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The statistic guys are
Yeah.
there. And
They're
so you knock
helping.
on the door and you say, what about this?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. And the Radchenkov, you write a lot of papers. Is that correct?
Yes.
How many papers a year do you produce? Just a lot? I mean, the whole institute does a lot of things, right?
We have our own
Oh.
journal. It
Oh,
named,
really?
Yeah.
Questions of Neurosurgery. It's the name of this journal. So sometimes we're publishing in this journal also.
Yeah. Do you have a research interest, or
Of course.
What is your research?
In my department, we're performs skull-based operations.
Yes.
My research are based on quality of life patients that underwent these operations. So we're making also the difficult approach to skull-based, like orbitozygomatic approach.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing also. And it's a really big honor for us and to be published in international journals.
American.
Yes. I understand that.
Yes,
Well, so we'll have to get you guys, you have to submit some papers. That would be good. That would be a nice thing. And actually, you get to some international meetings. I know there's one coming up in Athens and Greece, and you have your representatives there. So you have a fair amount of international connections, really. I mean, so you're trying to stay right at the cutting edge.
We'll try, exactly.
Of world neurosurgery.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned this before. One of the things that I think is important is at least as an old guy here, the neurosurgery community is really sort of a nation kind of brotherhood. I mean, there are people that are from all over the world, and they have an interest, and so it's really a positive thing for the world. I would say having these interchanges, that's pretty good. And your professor and your institute is very interested in this overseas connection.
Of course.
Yes.
Big opportunity for us to share experience, to see the different cells.
And I think you guys have such a huge number of specialized cases. You have some very important contributions to make. Well, okay, so you've been in America. This is your first time.
Yes.
All right. Do you have any observations? You're getting near the end of our little interchange. What has your experience been like? You don't necessarily have to say it was great, but what are things that have stood out to you that you were surprised to find here? You apparently have seen a lot of Hollywood movies. But what did you think? I mean, what are your comments about just the whole experience?
About surgery.
Well, you can talk about everything. The
Everything.
American people you ran into, whatever, just the general sort of what you saw or expected.
Yeah, we saw a lot of happy people here. So
Very kind people.
Very kind people. Yeah, very.
See this difference between
big difference.
Russia and America.
They're pretty pleasant, aren't they? Everybody wants to be friends.
Exactly. We're impressed.
We appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, and you saw a lot of fat people too, right?
Yeah.
It's a little joke here. No. I mean, I think that's true. It's a real problem we have with obesity in the country. I mean, it's noticeable if you come here in the airport, and it's a real health problem we have. Well, okay, that's been a pretty interesting interchange. We hope to see you guys again. Come back some more, and so we give my regards. And I'll say "Das Vidanya" instead of "privet." So you came to the OR the first time. I had 2 words of Russian. I said "Das Vidanya," but I should have said "privet." Well, it's so good to talk to you. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
This program is brought to you by the Georgia Neurosurgical Institute. For over 50 years, rendering neurosurgical care to patients of all social conditions, treating complicated problems involving the brain, spine, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves, endeavoring to encourage quality care, medical research, innovation, and education on a local, national, and international basis.